The moving truck rumbled into the cul-de-sac like an unwelcome guest. Our tires had barely kissed the driveway when she appeared, arms crossed, lips pursed, clipboard in hand. "Excuse me," she barked, striding toward us with the practiced confidence of someone used to being obeyed. "This is a private neighborhood. You can't park that here." Maya and I exchanged a glance. My wife tilted her sunglasses and whispered, "Did she seriously just say that?" I wiped my brow and stepped down from the truck. "We just closed on this house last week, ma'am. We're the new owners." Her eyes narrowed. "Impossible. I would know. I'm the HOA president." I extended a smile she didn't deserve. "Well, paperwork says otherwise. Name's Daniel. This is my wife, Maya. We're just here to move in." She scanned us like a scanner looking for errors, clearly not satisfied. Her gaze lingered on our U-Haul, then darted to the for sale sign we'd pulled up moments earlier. She tapped her clipboard. "I didn't approve any change of ownership. No one moves in without HOA notification. It's in the bylaws." Maya stepped forward, her voice calm but unyielding. "We weren't aware your permission was required to own property." Karen, though she hadn't introduced herself, we both already knew the tip recoiled like she'd been slapped. She pulled out her phone. "Then you're trespassing." "I'm calling 911. You're calling the police, ... because we moved into our own house. I'm enforcing community safety standards," she snapped, already dialing ... As the call connected, I looked around. A few neighbors had emerged onto their porches, drawn by the escalating tone. Some stood stiffly, arms crossed. Others looked embarrassed. No one intervened. Within minutes, 2 police cruisers rolled onto the streetlights, flashing sirens, mercifully off. Karen marched to meet them like a soldier reporting to command. She pointed to us with conviction. "They don't belong here. That house isn't approved for new owners. I demand they be removed." The first officer stepped forward. He was young, maybe late 20s, his badge catching the sunlight. He looked at me, then Maya, then the truck. "Sir, can I see some ID and ownership documents?" "No problem," I said, pulling the folder from the cab. "This is our closing paperwork. We purchased the property last Thursday. Everything's recorded with the county." The officer took the documents and stepped aside to confer with his partner. Karen wasn't done. "This entire transaction is invalid. The HOA controls transfer rights. They forged something head too." That's when a third vehicle pulled in behind the cruisers. A black SUV, no markings. The driver's door opened and a tall, broad man stepped out, his tailored suit sharp against the sun. He walked straight past Karen and nodded at me. "Mr. Cole." "Yes," I said cautiously. "And you are?" He held up a leather badge wallet. "U.S. Marshal Carter. I'm here to ensure your occupancy goes smoothly." Karen's jaw dropped. You can't be serious," she sputtered. "They didn't even apply for HOA approval. You're being duped." Marshal Carter turned to her, voice level. "Ma'am, I reviewed this sale personally. It's a federal transfer. The property was part of a housing program for returning officers that HOA's approval was not required." Karen looked like the ground had just been yanked from under her. "You don't understand. This neighborhood has rules." "I understand the law," Carter replied, "and so will you. You may want to stay close by." Her voice wavered. "Why?" He reached into his coat pocket and handed her a sealed envelope. "Because you've just been served." Her fingers trembled as she opened it. She didn't read aloud, but the color drained from her face with each line. I looked over at Maya, who stood beside our truck with her arms folded, a calm storm of satisfaction brewing in her eyes. Karen stumbled backward. This is a mistake." "No," Carter said coolly. "The mistake was thinking this street was yours to rule." He turned back to us. "Welcome home." The glow of vindication faded quickly once the moving truck was emptied and the front door clicked shut behind us. The house, though new to us, echoed with a strange stillness, like it was waiting to see which way the wind would blow. "Think she'll come back?" Maya asked as she peeled packing tape from a box labeled Kitchen Essentials. I glanced out the window. Karen's house sat diagonally across from ours, its perfectly trimmed hedges and stone walkway to pristine, almost unnatural. People like her don't go down quietly. The next morning we woke to an HOA citation taped to our door. Violation. Trash bins visible before 7 a.m. on collection day. Fine, $125. Maya laughed dryly. "We haven't even unpacked our silverware." By the end of the week, 2 more citations followed, one for inconsistent mailbox paint and another for an unauthorized welcome mat. I didn't realize coconut fiber was such a threat to community values. I muttered. Each notice was signed with a shaky flourish. Karen Matthews, President HOA. It became clear this wasn't about rules. It was about retaliation. We began to notice things. Subtle at first. Neighbors who'd smiled on Movin Day now averted their eyes. Cars slowed as they passed our driveway. A flyer appeared in our mailbox promoting an emergency HOA town hall to address improper occupancy and neighborhood disruption. It wasn't just us under scrutiny. A single mother down the block, Serena, shared that her son's basketball hoop had vanished overnight. A retired vet, Hank, was fined for parking his pickup truck, his only vehicle, in his own driveway. The notes came in the same font, the same tone, the same signature. "She's running this place like a dictatorship," Maya said one night. Scrolling through the HOS online portal, no transparency, no published budget, no elections recorded in 3 years. "She knows most people won't fight her," I said. "Fear keeps them quiet, but we're not most people." Maya's fingers flew over her keyboard, eyes sharp with purpose. She was a former paralegal, and few things lit her fire like injustice cloaked in policy. We started collecting stories, quiet conversations on evening walks, anonymous emails slipped into our inbox. Families too afraid to speak publicly, but desperate for change. The deeper we dug, the more rot we uncovered: exorbitant fines for minor infractions, funds missing from maintenance budgets, and countless violations of state HOA statutes. But what truly set our plan in motion was the discovery of a long-forgotten document, the Sycamore Hills HOA Charter, 1998 original edition. It had been scanned into a forgotten legal archive Maya stumbled across. Tucked deep within its clauses was one line that changed everything: greater than should 70% of homeowners' signatures be collected. In verified petition of board misconduct, a vote for immediate dissolution of current leadership may be triggered under state oversight. I stared at the words, stunned. "She spent years pretending she's untouchable, and this has been here the whole time." Maya nodded slowly. "She's banking on the fact that no one reads the fine print." We made copies of the clause, printed it, highlighted it, and began slipping autonomously into mailboxes of the most frustrated neighbors. Along with it, we included a single question: "Is this the community you want your children to grow up in?" The ripple was subtle at first. Hank dropped by one evening and asked, "Is it true what you found about removing the board?" Rosa, a soft-spoken widow down the street, brought over a pie. I thought I was alone. "Karen fined me $300 for planting lavender. Said it attracts bees." Within days, our living room became a quiet hub of resistance. People came one by one, signing the petition in hushed tones. Fearful but hopeful, by the end of the week we had 41 signatures. Nearly halfway there. But Karen wasn't idle. She doubled the frequency of citations. A drone buzzed over our backyard one afternoon, hovering long enough for Maya to curse and grab the garden hose. The next day a notice arrived: violation, unauthorized, water usage. Fine, $200 that night. Someone egged our front door. I cleaned it off in silence, rage simmering just beneath the surface. Maya stood beside me, hands clenched. "She's scared," she said. "She knows something's coming." I looked down the street, where porch lights flickered on, one by one. Quiet homes, watching eyes she should be. By the second week, our petition had grown to 62 signatures, 62 voices tired of fear, tired of control, and tired of Karen. But she wasn't going down without a fight. A new rule appeared overnight on the HOA bulletin board: all neighborhood meetings must be approved and supervised by the board. The ink was still wet. "She's trying to shut us down before we gain traction," Maya said, pacing our living room. "She's rewriting the rules to protect herself." "She's desperate," I replied, "and desperation makes people sloppy." The next morning, we found surveillance stickers plastered on several houses, including ours. "Warning: this property is under observation by HOA security. Non-compliance will be prosecuted." No contact information, no official logo, just a bold, fear-mongering message designed to intimidate. Hank showed up with his sticker in hand, fingers shaking with fury. "I've lived here 27 years, paid every due, shoveled snow off these sidewalks before sunrise, and now she's putting me under surveillance." "She's crossing legal lines," Maya said. "Private surveillance without consent. That's a violation of state privacy law." It was time to act. We couldn't keep playing defense. We scheduled a legal community meeting off property at the local library. Maya drafted formal invitations, citing the original HOA charter clause, and distributed them discreetly. We invited everyone, even the ones who'd stayed silent until now, especially them. The day of the meeting we weren't sure anyone would come, but one by one, they filed in. Young couples with strollers, retirees with canes, teens in hoodies, parents, veterans, teachers. Every corner of the neighborhood was represented. Maya stood at the front of the room, posture firm, voice steady. Sycamore Hills was meant to be a community, she began, not a kingdom ruled by fear. We're not asking for chaos. We're asking for fairness, transparency, and a voice." I followed with the evidence. Photos of unjust citations, bank statements showing unexplained fees, the original charter clause printed and enlarged. Then, I pulled out the real dagger: an internal email from Karen accidentally forwarded to Rosa's son, who worked in tech support. It detailed her plan to quietly increase dues again to cover administrative costs, which, we confirmed, meant upgrading her home office and purchasing security enhancements. A collective murmur spread through the crowd like a wave of indignation. "She's been using our money to protect herself from us," someone muttered. Another voice shouted, "Enough." It was time. We passed the final petition sheet. People lined up to sign it by the time the meeting ended. We had 84 verified signatures, well past the 70% threshold. The vote for dissolution would be held the following Saturday, but Karen wouldn't go down without taking one last swing. 2 days before the vote, we received a formal letter and official cease and desist, accusing us of unauthorized activism and defamation of board leadership. She's threatening to sue. Maya scoffed. On what grounds? Exercising our rights. She's bluffing, I said. She's always been a bully. Now she's a cornered one. But that night, she went further. Around midnight, headlights flashed across our living room wall. A truck idled outside for nearly 10 minutes before peeling away. The next morning, our mailbox was smashed in. Should we report this? Maya asked as I surveyed the shattered post. I nodded, yes, and not just to the police. I dialed Marshal Carter. He answered on the second ring. Been expecting your call. She's escalating. I told him, we're days from the vote. I think she's preparing something drastic. You're right to be cautious, he said, but don't worry. We've been monitoring her activity. If she makes one wrong move, we'll act. It felt like a storm was brewing. One final clash before the silence. Saturday came with a kind of eerie calm that only exists before a reckoning. Folding chairs lined the local rec center. A state HOA mediator stood at the front table beside a locked ballot box. Karen sat in the back row, arms crossed, lips pressed into a bitter line. Voting was anonymous, quiet, orderly. By noon, the mediator stood and read the results aloud. Result: 87 in favor of dissolution, 6 opposed. 4 abstained. Karen didn't move. She just stared ahead, as if the words hadn't landed. Then the mediator added, per state regulation, an immediate transition of leadership is required. The former board is hereby dissolved. A temporary committee will be appointed until elections are held. No applause, no shouting, just the weight of a long-awaited shift settling into the room. Karen stood, straightened her blazer, and walked out without a word. The silence that followed was more powerful than any celebration. Maya turned to me, her hand slipping into mine. She's gone, she whispered. We did it, but I knew it wasn't over. Not yet. Karen didn't show her face for 2 days. No morning walk, no mailbox peeks, no clipboard patrols. Her house, once the epicenter of neighborhood intimidation, stood silent, the blinds drawn tight like a fortress under siege. On the third morning, a moving truck arrived. A small cluster of neighbors watched from their lawns as a pair of workers loaded box after box from her garage. No one offered to help. No one waved. Not even a goodbye from the children she once scolded for sidewalk chalk or noisy bike tires. She's really leaving, Rosa whispered, holding a mug of coffee like a relic. I didn't think I'd live to see it. She had a good run, Hank muttered beside her. Too good. Inside our home, Maya was finalizing the bylaws proposal with the new transitional committee. 5 elected volunteers from the neighborhood. One of them, Serena, held her infant in one arm while typing with the other. The difference in atmosphere was like a fog lifting. Voices had returned to the sidewalks. Neighbors waved again. Children played in yards. The fear was fading. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that Karen had one more card to play, and I was right. That afternoon, as the moving truck pulled out, a sleek Lexus pulled into her driveway. Karen behind the wheel. She stepped out, not in defeat, but with the poise of someone prepared for a final performance. She walked straight toward our house. Maya met her on the porch, arms folded. Karen's eyes were sharp, cold, controlled. This isn't over, she said. Maya's lips curled slightly. It is. You lost the vote. You lost the board. You lost your power. Karen's jaw tightened. You think they'll manage without me? You think these people know how to run a neighborhood? They do now, I said, stepping outside. And if they don't, they'll learn without fear, without fines, without threats. She didn't respond, just stared, like she was willing the moment to reverse. But reality doesn't negotiate with denial at that moment. A black SUV turned the corner, the same one from weeks ago. Marshal Carter stepped out, looking crisp in his suit despite the afternoon heat. He held a thin, legal-sized envelope. Karen Matthews, he said, his voice calm but unmistakably final. Per the oversight ruling and state investigation into HOA misconduct, this is your formal notice. Your property is under lien pending audit of misused community funds. Her face twisted. This is harassment. No, Carter replied, handing her the envelope. This is accountability. You can't take my house. He tilted his head. We're not taking it. We're freezing it until every cent is accounted for. She clutched the envelope like it might catch fire in her hands. You think this neighborhood will thank you? She spat, turning back to us. When everything falls apart, don't say I didn't warn you. Maya held her ground. You didn't build a community, Karen. You built a prison. Karen turned without another word. She slid into the driver's seat and drove away, her taillights vanishing like the last chapter of a bad book. That night, we held the first official community gathering under the new board. A potluck. No rules, no citations, just food, conversation, and something unfamiliar but welcome. Laughter. Serena brought tamales. Hank grilled burgers. Rosa brought a photo album of block parties from decades ago. We'd brought lawn chairs and paper lanterns. Music played from someone's speaker. Children ran barefoot through the grass. No one complained. No one called the cops. This, Maya said, leaning back against me, feels like the neighborhood we hoped for. It's not perfect, I replied, but at least now it belongs to the people. The sky darkened into deep indigo, the stars flickering through summer haze. Later, Marshal Carter joined us briefly, waving off the offer of food but accepting a mason jar of lemonade. You two did something rare, he said. You didn't just stand up to a bully. You reminded everyone they had a voice. We just gave them the paper to sign, I said. He smiled. Sometimes that's all it takes. As the gathering wound down, Maya stood up and addressed the crowd. No more secrets, she said. No more silence. From now on, we vote on every rule, we publish every dollar, and we hold each other accountable with fairness, not fear. Applause followed, not loud but sincere, and for the first time since we arrived, the house behind us, our home, felt settled. Safe hours. The HOA was no longer a weapon. It was a community tool, reborn from the ashes of control, and as the lanterns floated upward and disappeared into the night sky, so did the shadow of Karen Matthews, petty rule at a time.